Hey there, this is Tafrell, and this is my genogram. And you're probably wondering, what do the different colored cards and different lines mean? Well, pink cards mean female, blue means male. If a line has an X through it, as you can see here with my grandparents and here with my parents, it means that they got divorced. And then this line right here with the blue scratch through it means that that child does not belong to that person, which I will get into later when I'm explaining my dad, and then again when I'm explaining my sister. And here with me and my siblings, see dotted lines going through here, here, and all the way down, means that we're all half siblings. We either have the same father or the same mother. We don't have both in common at the same time, it's just one or the other. And starting off with my different family members in this tree is my grandmother. Her name's Tara, born year 1955. She's still alive. Three major things about her is she is a social worker. I think she's probably the first person in our family that started doing social work. She inspired me to do it a little bit, because all throughout my life, I've seen her do stuff, working in the system, doing all that. I didn't know what it was at the time, but it always interested me. And she works in the school system. Like, she works for the public schools, elementary all the way to high school. There were times where I'd see her come to my schools, like throughout my life, and would interact with the kids that she had to work with, that she had files on. You know, after a certain point, her and my granddad got divorced after they had my aunts and uncles and my dad. And then she just became a single mother, tried to do the best that she could with what she had. And honestly, I feel like she just gave it all she got. And then next we have my grandfather, Robert, born in year 1955. He passed away, sadly, in 2012 when I was in the 5th grade. Three things about him is he was in the military for a long time. I think he served, let's say, Vietnam, like most of his generation did. And then he was a better grandfather than he was a father. And what I mean by that is, throughout my life, my dad and my mother would explain it to me that whenever my dad was growing up, he wasn't always the best father to him. He was always kind of cold and always dealt the heavy hand. Instead of, being a nurturing type of parent, that might have been because of him coming up in the military. Honestly, I don't really know. But he was always a great grandfather to me and my other siblings. And something that was kind of weird and interesting to me was when he died, that's how I found out that he got remarried to a different woman, and then she had her kids lumped into the new family that they created. And when I went to the funeral, it really surprised me. And then when we went to his burial, they handed his most recent wife the flag instead of my grandmother. And when I first saw that, I was kind of upset. I was like, but why didn't my granny did it? Come to find out, that was his wife right before he died. And then next, we're gonna go to my mother, Lakeisha. Born in the year 1978, still alive. She had her first kid when she was 14. My oldest brother right here, that was her first son. And also to differentiate with half siblings and whatnot, me and my oldest brother share the same mother, while me and my other 3 siblings share the same father. And moving on to the next thing, she's a school teacher, been a school teacher since the year 2003, still kicking. At first she was a 5th grade teacher, and then I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, she got moved from 5th grade to 6th grade. At first she hated it, but as the year went on, during her first year, she began to like it and enjoy it more and more. And she has lupus. I don't really know much about lupus, but I know it affects your body. It kind of just eats away at you over time. And I've kind of witnessed my mom go through that a little bit, but it hasn't gotten too bad yet, so I'm not worried yet. Plus, all in all, she's just always been there for me. She's been my rock. She's been there since day one. Anytime I was struggling or anytime I felt like I was down, she's always there to bring me up and keep me going. She's the reason why I'm where I'm at today. And then next, we have my dad, Terrell Tolliver Sr., the man who I'm named after. Born in the year 1975, still alive. Throughout my life, he sold drugs. He stopped selling drugs when I want to say, in the 7th grade. That was the last time he went to jail for selling drugs. And my dad is a narcissist. Anytime something happens, he tries to make it about him, make himself the center of attention, make him the focal point of everything that he's a part of, whether it be through lying, manipulating, whatever it is, he's gonna make it about him. A prime example of this was one year, it was my sister's birthday. He forgot to tell her happy birthday. And then I wanna say the next day or 2 days later, he called and just gave her this big sob story about how he's been going through all this, so much going on in his life, so much stuff that's wrong. He's just trying to get it however he can. Basically just making excuses just to make himself not look as bad. And he is a bad dad / bad partner. Over time, me and the rest of my siblings that have him as a dad just grew to resent him more and more, because he's just, like I said, a narcissist, bad person. He's also an alcoholic too, a very bad alcoholic. But anytime something happens, he tries to make it about him. And he doesn't just do that with like regular people, he did that with us. And over time, it just kind of just soured our relationships with him. And repeatedly cheated on my mom. That's why I see this ex here, because they're divorced because of that. And then moving on with my siblings, start with my oldest brother named Devon. His last name's Joseph because my mom had him when she was 14. Obviously, she wasn't married. So she has her maiden name. Born year 1993, 7 years older than I am. He is, or at least was, hopefully, a drug addict. And I'm saying hopeful in the sense of hopefully he isn't anymore, but you never really know with him. When it comes to drugs, he's done everything under the book. Meth, heroin, pills, weed, coke, a little bit of alcoholism in there. You name it, he's most likely done it. He's a scammer. I put in parentheses that he's a bad one at that, because anytime he tries to scam, he gets caught, whether it be by my mother, by stores, by people that know him, anybody. Anytime he tries to scam, you automatically got him. And then evil intentions. What I say by that is, when my brother's not on drugs when he's sober, he's smart. I've seen him in action sober. We've all seen him function sober. He's intelligent. It's just that when he's under the influence of something, or there's something that he wants and that he can't get by himself, he'll use his brain to manipulate and scheme on others in order to get what he wants, and just leaves them in the dirt and just leaves them to the dogs. And then next, you have me, Terrell Jr., born year 2000, I'm 21. I have a love for music. And when I say like a love for music, I don't just mean, oh, I like this song, yada yada. To me, it's more I have a more deeper feel for it, in the sense of, when it comes to me listening to music, or I hear a certain sound, it inflicts certain emotions. Like, I'm able to pattern certain songs with certain feelings, and it'll kind of just push me in that direction that I'm feeling. Like, music helps boost my mood, whether it be a good mood or bad, and I kind of just emulate what the song is saying throughout my life, or throughout my daily routines or whatnot. Have a love of sports, played basketball since I was 3. I was really good at baseball up until I stopped at around 9. Played football for 2 years, didn't like it, so I just gave up on it. And another thing about me is, throughout my life, I never really noticed it until right before I got to college. I kind of was given that golden child position when it came to my parents and stuff. I don't know why, but I think it was just because I was the only one that had both parents in the household the longest. Because, you know, my parents got married, my dad didn't marry my other siblings' moms, my mom didn't marry my brother's dad. And so I looked, like on the outside looking in, I looked the most stable, when in reality, that wasn't the case. And my other siblings would be jealous of me because they feel like I just had everything made. When I was younger, it definitely seemed like that. But as I got older, the look of my family kind of changed, and people were able to see, yeah, his life isn't, the best. It's like, people were just able to see through the facade that was my dad on social media, primarily. And because of that, because people understanding that, my family life isn't great, it kind of, the biggest thing that came from that was it brought me closer to my siblings, because they gained an understanding of who I am, sort of, and what I went through dealing with our dad and stuff like that, and having to witness all that. And it made us better for it. It brought us closer. And then next, you have my second older brother, Qualis, born in 1996. He also has a love for basketball too. He was the best out of my school, went to college, plays semi-pro now. But that's probably the main thing we have in common. And then he distanced himself from our father a little while ago because, like I said earlier, narcissist, bad dad. And it's got to the point where my brother couldn't deal with the nonsense and the acting for social media anymore. So he just outright distanced himself from us. And I feel like that's hurt our relationship a lot because on holidays, he doesn't come over, talk to us or anything. We probably talk to him like a few times a year. I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I talked to him over the past year. And fun fact, this will probably freak you out a little bit, but he's also my cousin. And now, to elaborate on that, when I say that he's also my cousin, it's not in an incestuous way. It's more so in the way of his mom is my mother's cousin. So his mom and my mom are cousins. But my cousin, his mom got with my dad, and they are not related whatsoever. So it's kind of weird to think about. And when I explain it to people, they always get freaked out. And then I explain it, and then they're just like, "Oh, okay." And then it's kind of a funny thing to talk about sometimes. And then next, you have my one of my two sisters, Michaela, born year 1995. She has two kids named Brixton and Cross. Brixton is 3, and actually not Cross, the other one's name is Essex. And Essex is, I want to say, 7 months old. They both look just like her. It's crazy. And not even just like her, she kind of looks like me, and by extension, our dad. We're the two that look the most like him, but she looks more like him than I do, which is crazy to think about. She has father issues, and like the 4 of us that sadly have him as a dad, that's something we all share in common. We all have father issues, but for her, I think it's the worst, and it's affected her the worst because throughout high school, not even just high school, even past that, there would be times where she would try to reach out to him, and then he would just go back to being a narcissist and a bad person and just try to make it to where it's not his responsibility to take care of her and all that. And the biggest example of this was one day, it was raining outside, and she walked all the way to our house barefoot, crying, asking if she could live with us. And then my dad looked her straight in her eyes, no hesitation, no remorse, and said, "Go back to Renika's house. You're not my problem, you're her problem. Go back." And that is our aunt. And looking back on that, it's just really bad dad, bad move as a dad, terrible. You never said it to your daughter. But anyways, moving on. We have my sister, my oldest sister, Madeja. The biggest thing with her, I forgot to say, born 1996. All my siblings are still alive, thank God. But she's not really related to us. So like, she's actually not our sister, not his daughter at all. It's just, when she was younger, her mom found out that my dad wasn't her dad. And instead of just outright just cutting her out of his life, he continued to take care of her along with my sisters and that. And just kind of just kept raising her and stuff. So in effect, she's still ours, but not by blood though. She has a son named Cross. He just turned 1, I want to say a few months ago. Looks just like her. And she probably dislikes our dad the least because the fact of he really didn't have to raise her when he found out that she wasn't his, but he still did it anyway. And I feel like because of that, she doesn't just outright hate him yet. But as time goes on, we can kind of tell that it's kind of just a little bit of love that she has left is just kind of starting to go away. And